What is going on YouTube? Today I'm going to be going over Bazzite on my ONEXPLAYER Fly F1 Pro. First and foremost, why would you want to put Bazzite on one of these devices? I'm going to show you the number one reason right here. As you can see, this is completely off besides that little blinking light that indicates this is currently in sleep mode. Cool to the touch, no fans. I've let this sit overnight and I believe my charging capacity is at 90%. Here, I'll push the power button, boop. Straight into my game. As you can see, I am at 88%, and that is from sitting all night, not plugged into a charger, and I'm right into my game. No stutters, no issues. Pretty cool. Now, before let me just say this. I am going to be kind of going over this like how I would go over, telling one of my friends. They came up to me and they're like, hey, I have my ONEXPLAYER Fly F1 Pro. Should I put Bazzite on it? This is exactly what I would tell them. Okay? One of my biggest gripes with this, with ONEXPLAYER specifically, I'm not sure if it's on the X1, G1, and all that, but on the F1 Fly Pro, I'm gonna just call this the F1. All right, you know what, the Fly, that sounds cooler. So on the Fly, the little speakers down here are tuned by Harman. All right, and what that means is the drivers, or better known as the Harman APO, are needed to make these speakers not sound like just total trash. In Bazzite, the Harman APO, you can't put it on here. So even when you're at like 75% speakerage volumes, it just sounds bad. Okay, and I think that's kind of like the whole theme of Bazzite on this. Like all of the core functions work really well. But when you're spending like 14 hundo on a device and you want to tweak your drivers and you want to set up AMF2 2.1 on AMD Adrenalin and ensure that your FPSs or FPS, it's just, this is like, it dumbs down your experience. So what you can do is, all right, so you have your two buttons down here, right? The one on the left goes into, forget what this little program's called, but it lets you control your TDP, which, is definitely needed. I don't know if TDP boost actually does anything. I haven't noticed any difference. I've turned off a custom fan curve. You can control your RGBs. You can control what kind of controller you want your Bazzite to be recognized as, gyroscope support, display, blah, blah, blah. And if you push Y, it goes into the more like in-depth little customizations of everything that you just saw. And one issue that I have had with this quite a bit is TDP turning on, no, not CPU boost, where is it? Down here, charge bypass. I've gotten it to go over to while on once, but it just doesn't want to move. Like you could see, if I go up here, I move it to the left, to the right, it works. I go here, it's not doing anything, and I don't know why. I've gotten it to work before and it doesn't work now. So that's a little frustrating. I would kind of like to give you little idea of how the speakers sound. Maybe the difference will come across. Here, I'll be pushing this at 25 watts, playing Sekiro's. Alright. Let's just do 100%. I'm gonna get smoked. Spoilers if you haven't, you know. Alright, so that's not too bad at 100. Let's do it like 70. Like, I could hear the fans more than what's going on in the game right now. Alright, let's get into some gameplay. I'm gonna just get a little trashed here. Alright, I'm gonna just let myself die here. As you can see, now it's like maybe 60%. At like 20%, you literally can't hear anything that's going on in the game. All I hear are fans. So keep that in mind. Alright, I'm going to show you guys the Windows experience or difference here in a little bit. So let me just go ahead and quit my game here because one time I wasn't connected to internet and I lost like 4 hours of Sekiro game time, and it broke me a little bit. So let me make sure I close this game correctly right now. Alright, so I just quit the game. Here I am. Alright, Steam up to date. Bazzite. Alright, so I went over this button. This button over here goes into like your Steam quick menu. You can adjust like your overlays. All of this is going to be pretty much exactly how it is on the Steam Deck. I haven't really messed with any of these settings aside from the performance overlay. I just like keeping track of how much battery I have left. Soundtracks, no idea. And some notifications. So obviously if you're using SteamOS, like anti-cheat games are not going to work on here. I just mostly play story mode games, so that's not an issue that I've really come across. This button over here brings up the big main menu of Steam and has all of the little Steam-like settings. Now, personally, I made a partition that Bazzite and Windows can share. So both of those OSs are pulling from that partition where all of my games are. So if I dual boot into Windows or Bazzite, no matter what, all of those games are going to be available. Let me turn down the wattage for the fans. So a lot of people really enjoy Bazzite for its simplicity, if you will, or its ability to play nice with the controls, because you know, if you're on the Windows, you're going to be using the touchscreen to do things. I really don't find that much of an issue of holding that button, getting the ONEXPLAYER thing, and then it works just like this. But some people like having even more simplicity, I guess, and this gives it to them. But I'm gonna show you guys my number one gripe with this. All right, I just booted up Sekiro, right? You just saw me play it. So let's say I want to boot up into it again. What is happening? What is it? What are you validating? All right, I have no idea why it's doing what it's doing. Hurry up, hurry up. Okay, so now I can play. Boop. It will start to download and compile shaders. Now, I've heard that for Steam Decks especially, or maybe, you know, things with very low-powered APUs, this actually really helps for some games, like with stutters and whatnot. I have had pretty much zero issues with stutters and all that on the Fly with the HX 370. I think it's probably the strongest APU in any handheld out in the market right now. And this shaders thing, it takes like, it can take like 30 minutes sometimes, it feels like. And if you skip it, then you're kind of missing out on the whole benefit of having it. So it's like, why not just be in Windows anyways at that point? I don't know. For me, personally, okay, first of all, I'm an old dog. You know, I like Windows. I'm used to Windows. All my applications are on there. And I honestly feel like going with Bazzite, you lose out on a lot of stuff. Mainly that Harman APO that makes the speaker sound better, which I promise we'll get to here in a second. And the whole time I'm running my suck 2%. All right. But I also found a very cool application, the iPad application with a single USB C cable, allows you to project your picture or display. It allows you to use it as a second display. I can't do that on Bazzite because the application only works with, you know, a Mac or a PC, which this is a handheld PC, but when it says PC, it's specifically referring to Windows because you need the application on Windows and on the iPad, and you can send your picture out that way, which is super cool, but you cannot do it when you're using Bazzite. Okay, even more time has passed while I'm running my suck. 6%. I'm telling you, this takes forever. When you're in the game and you're just stuck playing one game, which I like to do, I like to play one game from start to finish, which is why you've seen me have Sekiro on here pretty much every video that I've been putting out, because this game is very challenging the first time you play it. I guess this is all right, you know, to have the peace of mind of having the shaders preloaded and the hibernate button. That is very cool, and it is very buggy in Windows, but I'd argue that just turning it on and launching into the game, taking that extra 2 seconds, isn't that big a deal for me. But if you live in dad life or something and you have like a quick 15 minutes to try and beat a boss, you push that up, you're right into the boss battle. I get why people like that on the Steam Deck so much. It is pretty neat, but for the sole purpose of Harman APO not working and my Windows functionalities not working, I am going to have to stick with Windows. And I have a dual boot Bazzite Windows OS thing set up. But let me show you the reality of the whole dual boot process. So let me just exit out of that. And if you let your device go to sleep or something, or you forget this and walk away, and it will start from the beginning, that whole shaders thing, which is absolutely insane to me. I don't like it. You have to be sitting there watching it load, watching the paint dry. Either way. All right, so here I go. I'm going to push, this button, and I'm going to, you could also, go into your desktop mode here, whatnot. I'm going to restart, and I'm going to hold this button and the volume up, which will bring me into the BIOS. So here is how you dual boot into Windows or Bazzite. And I actually messed this up when I was creating the partitions of the Bazzite and Windows OS, and I had to like re-clean install both of them. So it's a good thing I had a partition for Bazzite, partition for Windows, and a partition for games, because once these two, the Bazzite and Windows, got messed up, I didn't have to re-download all my games, so that was pretty fortunate. So here is where you would choose what you are booting up into. Windows is Windows, and Fedora is Bazzite. As you can see, you need a keyboard to get into either one. So I could turn this off right now and turn it back on and just see what it's going to boot into. But if you want to dual boot and you're just like on an airplane or whatever, if you don't have a physical keyboard with you, then how are you going to switch OSs? I think that's the biggest drawback of this. But obviously I'm at my desk. So here we go. Oh, where are you? Oh, there you are. Okay. So, as you can see, I could choose Bazzite, which is Fedora, but I'm going to go into Windows. If you didn't need a keyboard to do what I just did, like I would get the whole dual booting thing, but I just don't really lose much from Windows. For me personally, I like Windows. Is that crazy to say? I think the number one thing you gain, hold on, let me get in here real quick. So here I am in Windows, and I have my nice little wallpaper, and I know you have a Linux desktop on Bazzite, but like, why even go to the desktop if the whole point is to just have it in the Bazzite mode or Steam Deck mode? I'm gonna let all my programs auto start here real quick. So for those of you that don't know, you could get this little driver pack from the Discord for ONEXPLAYER. Run it as admin, and it does all this little doodads stuff. And if you do this the first time, you actually set up your fly, then you won't have to do it again. But this is how you get the Harman APO. Alright, now I'm going to go into my settings, and as you can see, the Harman APO, sound, system, speakers, Harman APO is there. So, let's pretend, boop, I'm in Windows. Now, one of the biggest drawbacks of Windows compared to Bazzite is like, how do I get into my games? Now, the fly, has ways to get around this. You can hold this, enable a little mouse, and now you're kind of controlling, but it doesn't really feel too intuitive, I have to admit. But another thing you could do is hold this button. All of a sudden you have the like ONEXPLAYER little gaming software, and it is very Bazzite-esque at this point. You just use your handheld to play what you want. So again, going back into Sekiro, start play, and then it is going to bring up Steam, cloud save. I would like to do that one. Yeah, cloud save today. Please don't lose my progress. And as you can see, there's no like shader compiling thing. I mean, yes, it's gonna do it on the fly, but I got 32 gigabytes of RAM on this bad mama jamma, so I'm not really too concerned with that. Let me bump that up. So this is the 35%, and I could already hear the sound of the game compared to last time where the sounds just completely drowned it out. That Harman APO makes an immense difference on the quality of the speakers. And let me bump it up to like, so again, I had it maxed out before. Let's go to that little cutscene again. I could hear so many more details just from that. Maybe I'll play the oh yeah, the sounds a bit like, I don't know if you can hear the difference. I certainly can. I'll play it back to back. I'm having such a hard time trying to play this and talk. Oh, where's my Mikiri counter? Yeah. I'm gonna just get a little trashed here. I'm gonna let him kill me. Alright. Biggest difference here, I'll give this a go. Now, I tried this earlier, and for whatever reason, when I turned my fly back on, it booted up in a Bazzite. Don't know why that happened, but pushing that just like as if I was on Bazzite. In Bazzite, obviously this shuts the system off in a nice standby mode where you barely lose any battery. Alright, fan stops spinning. You don't have that little blue light, which I find kind of annoying for whatever reason on Bazzite. Let's see what happens when I pump it back up. Fans kicking off again. You got your little lighty doodads. And there you see, it's going in a Bazzite. So maybe this is like a boot priority thing I could change in the BIOS, but like, what if I wanted it to like stay on Bazzite when I'm going on Bazzite, or stay on Windows when I'm on Windows? Do I have to go in and change the boot priority every time? Like, what is happening here? And the weird thing about this too, see, we're live troubleshooting this issue. If I go here and then I hit restart and then I do the whole switcheroo into Windows thing that I showed you earlier by going into the BIOS. Alright, plugging in my keyboard so I could just push that button. Alright, now I'm going into Windows. And it was like saved, it was like it actually went into sleep mode. You know, see, like here's Sekiro again, but it's probably gonna crash. Oh, it didn't crash. See, like what? What is this? Why did this work? Why is this happening? I don't understand. Maybe there's like maybe there are workarounds to make this do what it's supposed to, but I just, like, you're going to pick one or the other. Do you want Bazzite, SteamOS, that nice hibernation function that works 100% of the time, 60% of the time, every time? Or do you want Windows, where you can mess around with different applications? You know, like I got Launchbox, Big Box, you got your SteamOS, Epic Games Launcher, all of the stuff that people get Windows handhelds for, as opposed to a Steam Deck. You know, actually wanting Windows. I'm gonna have to lean toward the Windows side of things. That's just me personally. Maybe I'll play around with Bazzite for a little bit more, but just the speakers alone make me want to not drop Windows. Well, you guys, I know this was a little long-winded. I hope you learned something from this video. A real human being messing with Bazzite, messing with Windows, what I prefer, why I prefer it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I love hearing from you guys. If you'd like to support the channel, drop a sub and a like. I really appreciate you guys stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.